Hey guys, now we're coming to my superior drummer setup finally. Woohoo! So there are two ways you could load superior drummer. Now the easy way would be you just right click, insert an instrument track, and then here you choose superior drummer. But that's not what we're going to do. We're going to go pro. So what we do now is go to devices, go to VST instruments, and now in here we are going to choose superior drummer. Do you want to put a MIDI track? Yes, put a MIDI track. Now this opens up superior drummer. We close it for now, because now what we're going to do, you click this little arrow button here, and all those channels that are depicted here now represent the output channel of superior drummer in the superior drummer mixer. So this gives us the ability to use the multi-channel output function of superior drummer. So let's activate the output 3 and 4 and also 5 and 6. So we are only going to use those 3. We can close this little window now. And why we need this, I am going to show you later. So first let's go to superior drummer. Avatar kit. Yeah. User presets. Show and tell. This one, I fine tweaked some things just for you guys. Now, this is going to be very loud. As you can see, the volume meter up here is just blowing a hole into the ceiling. So in order to avoid clipping, remember, red lights mean evil, bad, stop. So we're going to set the output level, the main output level, to about -12 for now. So this gives us some more control on it. Let's talk about the setup itself first. Now, you can really imagine superior drummer as you would have a real completely mic'd up drum kit in the studio somewhere, and all those mics that are placed around this kit are connected to a mixer. So if you approach it like this, you get more of a handle about it. Of course, you can choose all the different parts, all the snares in here and all the cymbals to your liking. But especially with the cymbals, make sure to adjust their volumes with the little slide down here. This adjusts the volume of the instrument that you pick. Because some cymbals are louder and others are quieter than the average, so just make sure to adjust those volumes. Otherwise, some cymbals may stick out way more than the others, which can be very annoying. So for the kick drum, I choose the double kick of the Metal Foundry, and this would be the DW Collector Series, the left and the right one. And that's already it for my setup. Now, of course, everything else is to your liking. It's just how I approach the setup for now. So let's just turn right to the mixer. As you can see here, this is the whole mixer section. So all the mics are going through their individual channels. And the real action, as you can see, there's nothing big going on here. The real action and fun is going on back here in the bus section. And now I'm going to show you step by step and instrument by instrument how you can mix it, or I show you my approach to mixing it, and of course fine tweaking is all to your liking. So let's just start off with the kick drum. I set the kick drum on the first channel, the first bus channel, so we single this. And I'm also going to bypass all the effects because we're going through those step by step. First we're going to the mixer, to the mics themselves. Also here, bypass the effects first. Now let's just put some kick drums in here so we can constantly listen to those and mix them step by step accordingly. Beautiful clicking, that's fun. As you can see, when there are no effects applied, it's very quiet, so I'm just going to turn up the volume again to 0. That sounds boring. So let's just start off. Here you see KD in. That means the mic that's inside the kick drum. Let's just listen to this one on its own. This sounds more clicky, has more high end to it, and also more of the very low sub bass to it. Now let's listen to the mic that's outside the kick drum. So you can hear this one has more energy in the upper section of the bass. And so we're going to use those two mics accordingly to get a full grasp of the whole kick drum and get the most out of it, or as far as I am the most out of it. So let's take a closer look at the mic inside. I put some pre-EQing in here. I put more emphasis on 50 Hz with a very steep, narrow Q. Just boost it a little bit. And I like to take out anywhere between 150 to 300 Hz because this sounds very knocky and honky in this case. And there's also a lot of flattering going on. So I just like to cut this one out, and I like to boost up there very widely, around 7 to 8 kilohertz. Yeah, just to get more emphasis on the click, you know? So we turn this on. And as you can hear, it already cleans up nicely and adds to it what it needs to add. So let's turn to the outside one again. As you can hear, it has more of a ringing out to it, more of this boom, you know. So, but we want a more shorter and tighter and punchier kick. So what we're going to apply first is a transient and reduce the sustain. I like to reduce it around -5 dB to shorten it. So that cleans up nicely. Next, EQ. For this one, I just cut out all those mids down there. And then this is around 450 to 500 Hertz, somewhere in that section, because the kick itself, especially in metal, it lies mostly in the very low bass and sub section of your mix and in the higher section of the mix. So you get a nice punch on the low end and a nice audible click on the high end. So everything in between, you don't need that much. So that's just additional energy that can get very messy. So just take this one out, activate it, and listen to it. So that cleans up nicely. Now those two mics, as you can see down here, is the output section. We route this to the kick bus channel, which is here. And now we're going through all those different effects step by step. I like to first put a compression, because what I noticed, if you put the compressor behind the EQ, especially this is a very important EQ part where I boost the stuff, but if the compressor is behind it, it also compresses all the high clicking and the low end, and suddenly especially when you have some fast double bass tracking going on, then all this precise stuff seem to vanish, and all you get is a constant rumbling from down under, but not the type that we like from the bass guitar, for example. So I like to put it in front of all the other effects, so this EQ still applies no matter what stuff you do with the kick drum. For me, there are two approaches to the compressor concerning drums. One is to add more punch, and one is to add more sustain. So for more punch, especially in the kick drum now, you want more punch. So what we're going to do is first, the attack we're going to set very high, the attack time to milliseconds, and the release time very, very low or fast, so to also 50 milliseconds. The ratio I like to set to 4:1, So first I set those 3 parameters, and after that I apply the threshold until I get this nice punch that I want. So, and for this one I set it to about -27 dB, and this doesn't compress that much, it just adds a little bit more of punch, but as you'll notice it only compresses around -1.5 to -2 dB, and just to get more control of it and a little bit more punch and more volume. And you'll notice it gets louder now, so I will already set the output volume to -5. Now let's just listen to before and after. You can see more punch, more loudness, wonderful. Now next I like to apply the filter. And now this filter, this high pass filter, is also not set too high. I cannot exactly tell you where it lies, it doesn't tell me, but I assume it's around 50 dB. So this pretty much cuts everything that's below that, because below that it's just rumbling and wobbling, and that's just annoying. We want to get rid of this, so this already helps it pretty good. Now if you want a more tighter punch instead of a very low massive punch, you can also set the filter a bit higher. Of course we need to activate it in order to make it work, somewhere in this area to 9 o'clock, then it sounds more tight. So let's just listen in. But I like to keep more of the sub bass, so this just cleaning it up a little bit. If you have your headphones on or have really good speakers, then you also notice more of a difference between this position and this position. So that's already for cleaning up. Now let's go to the first EQ. My general approach to EQing, also with the other instruments, which I'm going to show you in the later parts of this tutorial in mixing, is first I take out those frequencies that I do not want and that are annoying, and second, after this I'm going to boost the stuff that I do want. So as you can see here, I cut out around 200 Hz, and this is the very section we are going to boost later on the snare drum. So those already complement each other very well. As we're just mixing the drums already, keep in mind we are putting the instruments in its place in the whole frequency range. So it's also very important to always keep this in mind, where do we want those instruments to sit in the mix. And the kick drum, we want to sit in a very low section and the very high section. So as you can see, I also again cut out all of the mids, which is very annoying again. And then already a minor boost, or it's a bigger boost at 9 kHz with a very narrow Q to add some more clicking and more precision in it already. So let's again listen to before and after. You can see it already cleans up nicely. So let's go to the next EQ, the boosting. As you can see, first I like to boost the sub bass section, or I don't know if you can refer to this as sub bass already, but definitely low, very low end is 50 Hz. Then you get a nice chesty feel, and then also a second boost at around 100 Hz. This is set a little lower, go higher, somewhere in this area, both with a very narrow Q. And then again a high boost up there. This is at 5 kHz. Now you mostly probably read to boost the kick drum around 4 and 8 kHz. I like to boost it at 5 and 10 kHz, so somewhere in this area, but that's all again just preferences. I'm just showing you my approach to the whole mixing stuff. Everything else from then on is really up to your taste, so be sure to tweak around for yourself a lot. Yeah, this is that, and then again boost with the high shelf this upper range section. Although this doesn't add too much really, because on the kick drum there's not a whole lot going on in this air section up here between 10 and 20 kilohertz. But still it adds this little bit of tightness and spark and clicking that I like pretty much. So let's listen in again before and after. So you can see now it sounds very punchy, and it's going to hit you in the face with a sledgehammer later on. And now over the couple of months of tweaking, it just so happened that I set this volume of this one channel to minus 2.8 dB. There's no special reason for this, it's just at the time of adjusting again and again, this will probably also happen to you. It just happened to be at this volume. So now what we're going to add to get more punch into this is the sidechain compression. This is very important for drums. You could probably think, why don't we just crank up the compressor in this one channel? Well, this could pretty much squash your kick drum to death. So this is just light compression now in this one bus channel. For most of the punch you really need the sidechain compression. So I just pick a separate bus channel, just layer a compressor on there. And then in the darker section you can choose bus ascent effects for the individual other channels. So if you click on this arrow you can choose one. So here I chose the comp, I just called it. Then if you click here you can see the mixing window. So I just mix those two channels to 100%, and I also activate the post effect button. So the sidechain compression is applied now behind the insert effects. So now what we can do is listen to this bus send with a very hard compression only, and just see what this one sounds like. As you can hear, there's a whole lot of compression going on. There's a whole lot of punch to it. As you also saw, it goes back to about minus 6 dB or even further. And again, the approach here is the same as before. You attack very high, release very low. Ratio is higher this time to 7 to 1. And then again, apply the threshold that it compresses very hard. And the way I mix those two is with the volume slider here from this bus send channel itself, instead of using this one. I just keep this all the way up and then mix with this one. So and both together would sound like this. As you can hear now, it gets really loud, so I'm going to lower the volume to minus 12 dB. Now let's listen in. And there you have a nice punchy kick. Now, I've been talking for way longer than I actually intended now on this one instrument only, so I guess I have to make multiple parts in drum mixing. I'm sorry for that. But there you got your first thing to try out.